Tech Table. Tech Table. Tech Table.
Hello and welcome to the Tech Table, the Technical Staff and Theatre Workers podcast. It's the podcast in which I talk to people in the technical side of the industry about how they got in, their experiences and any advice they can give to anyone getting in. This is episode 9 of season 5, the penultimate episode. What a great season it's been. Really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for the downloads and the continued listens. The numbers have been brilliant and long may that continue. If you'd like to get in touch via the socials, it is Tech Table Pod on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, Threads and YouTube. If you'd like to send us some questions or some feedback via the email, it's techtablepod@gmail.com. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone who you know is interested in theatre and anyone who's not interested in theatre because it might make them interested in theatre. Let's spread the word, let's get this out, let's get this podcast bigger. So without further ado, let's see who is at the Tech Table with me this week. I'm here with my guest at this time. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell me what your current job title is.
Hello everyone, my name's Chris Tindall and I'm a freelance production manager.
Excellent. And how did you get into theatre?
I started off by working on plays at school, doing lights and school plays. My parents used to take me and my sisters to the theatre and I was always watching people at the back and trying to look at the lights and watching the follow spotters and whatever. Started doing school plays. I did my first school play in 1998, and after that decided A drama, had a gap year to save money to go to drama school, and then went to do a course at Guildford School of Acting on the technical and production course.
Oh, excellent. And so you trained at Guildford. So what was your first job in theatre?
My very first job in theatre, I worked at an arts centre in Maidenhead, Northern Farm Centre for the Arts. It's a small, I think it's about 350 seats, arts centre, because at the time the GSA course was you sign up for 2 years, do 2 years of purely practical, and then in the third year you're meant to get a job in the industry and you only have to go in once a week.
Right.
So I basically had to get a venue job, and I said to them before I started, can I have every Thursday as my day off so I can go to college?
Right.
And the third year is a top up, so everyone signs up, does 2 years, everyone graduates with a diploma. And then if you want, you can do a third year to go to a degree.
Right.
So I did that. I basically couldn't be on a show, on a tour, because I had to.
Because you had to be in college.
Yeah. But actually what happened was I got offered a job on a tour in the February of that year. And because I'd already been to all my lectures, I'd hit my minimum attainment standard. So I could go on tour after that because I'd been and done everything that I had to do. So.
Oh, cool. And what was that tour?
I went on tour with Welsh National Opera in the lighting department.
Ah, brilliant. So you started off as lighting. So the GSA, remind me, the GSA course was what was the GSA course?
Well, the GSA course was a bit of an old-fashioned one. It was technical theatre and stage management.
Right.
So you did majors and minors. So I majored in lighting and minored in stage management, but we all did everything, not wardrobe so much. So in the time I was there, I did bigger allocations, like production electrician, lighting designer, board programmer for lighting. But then in the other disciplines, I did things like deputy master carpenter, ASM. So you never do sort of stage manager or those bigger roles.
Right, I see.
You do the minor role. So you've worked in basically every department when you come out.
Right,
which
okay.
I thought was really, really good.
Yeah, and so you veered towards lighting when it came to going out into the professional world because you'd majored in lighting.
Yeah, and that was what I originally got into the industry because I wanted to be a lighting designer. That was kind of what prompted me into it. Lighting was always the thing that got me into it.
Right, okay. Excellent. So give us a list of other shows, jobs you've done leading you up to, because you've made the transition into production management as well, which is... It's not unusual, but it's sort of unusual for lighting to go into production management, I think. Is it?
Yeah, well, it's not normal, no. No, I wouldn't say it's normal. I've never just done lighting, I've always done everything else. So for a long time, I was working at Welsh National Opera. I've done 9 tours with them, and I've done 4 seasons at Garsington Opera on the stage crew.
Right.
And then I used to do Panto on sound.
Right.
So my sort of season my year used to be spring tour with the opera as a lampy, Garsington on stage crew, something random like Edinburgh or a show or something in August, back on tour as a lampy in the autumn, Panto on sound. So I've never just done lighting. That was kind of the main thing I've done. But I've always bounced around a bit and worked local crew in loads of venues. So just being on any department that's needed, basically.
Wow. So, I mean, that's quite a big jump from opera to panto. you don't get much further away from, the spectrums there.
Well, no, because basically in a panto, wait for them to get in an opera, you're waiting for them to die at the end. That's pretty much the difference. But I mean, opera's really hard because what we were doing was touring a 3-show rep and changing shows every day and changing venues every week. So it's quite a hard school. So I went from student, art centre, 3-show rep, and I think we had something like, 15 trailers on the tour.
Wow, right.
The WN at that time was a big touring outfit. You knew it was a big operation because we had an Arctic just for miscellaneous.
Normally you get a case.
Yes, so it was quite a big step up. But so I worked in opera for quite a long time. But then I worked as a venue technician in places, and I did a project at Chichester Festival Theatre with an outdoor temporary venue for them as a venue technician, and that was one production manager and 2 venue techs. So between the 3 of us, we swung between all. It sounds like it's been a big jump, but it's when you actually look at my CV, it's probably not as big a jump as you'd perhaps imagine.
It's like a slow transition.
Basically, yes. Yeah, that's how it's gone. And then I worked at a school for 7 years, doing everything. Kind of when I really got into production management that way. Right.
Okay. So you've kind of done a myriad of everything, really.
Pretty much. I mean, I graduated 20 years ago, so I've been in and around quite a lot. The only thing I've never really done, apart from kind of a very short 4-month stint, is West End.
Right. Okay.
Never been involved in West End.
Excellent. So have you, in your vast different career that's spanned many different things, have you ever come across any issues, anybody holding you back, anybody stopping you getting your jobs, naming no names, but anything like that at all?
Not really. Everyone I've met has been quite helpful. I think there is a bit of a culture in some big organisations where you're waiting for people to leave or retire.
Yeah. And
I think some organisations could probably be better at externally recruiting from outside of the organisation. Generally, though, I've sort of done it right. I think my only wish, and sometimes I'm not sure the reason is, I sometimes think companies could be better at just giving you an interview anyway to see what you're like. If they don't know you, or they might have hundreds of applicants who've got really good CVs, but I feel like sometimes you think if you actually just got in the room and spoke to somebody,
you know what, I absolutely agree with you on that one, because it's such a personality-based business. So you might not be, like you say, CV-wise, you might not be the most experienced person, but you might be the right person for that particular job because of your personal communication skills or something like that, which you can't write down on a CV.
You really can't. And did a tour of the Buddy Story as Tech SM for a year. I finished Panto, went to Buddy rehearsals, opened the show, and then toured, did the last loadout, and then went back to Panto. So it was a long tour. And on a tour like that, actually, everyone can learn their track and learn their plot and learn how the set goes together within a month. You should know how the show is.
Yeah.
It's can you get people for a year when you're doing 8 shows a week and changing venues every week? That's kind of more important. So I think sometimes people could be better off at just having a chat to you just to see what you're like, rather than. And actually, one thing I think has always been a bugbear of mine in the industry is if we don't email you back, you haven't got an interview. Well, it takes 40 seconds to write an interview today. Dear applicant, sorry, this time.
Yeah, it can be quite rude like that. Absolutely,
it can. Actually, I've got a bit of a story about that. If you'd like to hear it.
Yes, go for it. Absolutely.
I'm a massive cricket fan. And we're recruiting for the head coach of the England's men's Test match side. I had 2 beers too many and came home from the pub and applied to be the head coach of the England men's cricket team, and downloaded the application form and applied. And I got an email back a month later saying, thanks for my application, but they decided they were going with someone with more experience. And that is a courtesy that has not been extended to me in the industry I've worked in for nearly 20 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, that. It's absolutely crazy. It's just, like you say, it takes 2 seconds to email somebody. Even if it's a blanket email that you send out, you can copy and paste and just go, sorry, not this time. Yeah.
Even if it's a BCC to 200 people, sorry, you haven't got the gig. Yeah. That's fine. But at least let me know.
Absolutely, yeah. Because to be fair, I'm still waiting to see if I've got the number 2 job on Wicked. from 2019, and I know who got the number 2 job on Wicked in 2019. So, but I think we've all got a show that we're waiting on.
Turning out waiting definitely.
Yes, excellent. So, what would you say are the pros and cons of working in the industry?
The pros are the people you meet and the experiences you get, definitely, because you just you meet some fantastic people and you have some fantastic experiences. You can travel, you can live in a way that sometimes is quite easier financially. I know people always say the wages in theatre aren't great, and that's true. But I remember around the time of the 2008 financial crash, I was thinking, what am I going to do here? But actually, I decided to spend the next however many years on tour, and someone else paid for my accommodation, someone else paid for my food, and actually I decided to ride it out that way.
Yeah.
Because that's not an option you've got. If you've got a 9-to-5 job and you've got to pay your mortgage, that isn't an option you've actually got. So it forces you to live in a slightly different way, and you can meet some really great, some genuine people.
You can get paid to see the world as well.
With tangible results. You turn around, you can. Although the flip side of that is, I toured more or less constantly for about 8 or 9 years, and after that, I in that whole time I never went on a holiday, and I had no interest in going on holiday at all. Because if I get back from a 4-month tour, the last thing I want to do is put my stuff in a bag, book some travel, book a hotel, you find something to eat. I don't want to do that at all. So that was one of the downsides.
Yeah.
And I think the downsides, everyone says the working hours. For me, it's not so much the hours; it's just you're going to miss people's birthdays and you're going to work Christmas. But I think it's important that you know that when you go into it. So my plan was to do all that touring and freelancing in my 20s, and I just stayed single in my 20s and just was career, tour, work.
Yeah.
And then I met someone in my late 20s, and then we got married and have children. I don't go away, but I've done all that. I've done nearly 10 years on the road, so I'm not too bothered about it. So I think that's one of the downsides. Is it's not a job; it's a lifestyle commitment, and that doesn't suit everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, I toured for nearly 4 years, and I think everybody has that point at near the end where they go, "Do you know what? I think this is it. I can't do this anymore." Yeah, and so
absolutely, I'm going to be there.
Yeah, because you don't get to know anybody really well, even on tour, until you've seen them at their worst at 3 o'clock in the morning on a loadout in the middle of nowhere, when everybody's drunk walking past you coming home, Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's,
Excellent. So what would you say is a common misconception for anybody new trying to get in the industry? So when they try and get into the industry, what do they think it might be that it isn't?
That's interesting. I know I'm probably going to maybe cop a bit of flack for this, but as someone who's done nearly 20 years and never really touched West End is a small part of the industry.
Yes.
It's very big, it's very famous, there's loads of people, there's loads of money, there's loads of shows, but there are hundreds of shows, hundreds of tours, hundreds of venues and hundreds of people not in the West End. Oh. And for me, it's not that's not kind of been the pinnacle of it. I've never fancied it at all. I think people think that's what you're aiming for, and I think it's an error.
It's not necessarily the be-all and end-all of everything.
Don't get me wrong, it's a huge part of the industry, it's an important part of the industry, but I think people coming in I remember meeting people at drama school going, "Oh, I can't wait to go out and ASM on a big West End show," which is great, it's a great thing to do, but you're going to go there and they're going to go, "This is how you do the ASM track, and we've done it like that for 25 years.
Yeah.
Your input is just to take over and carry on from the last person." Whereas actually, this was one of the reasons I like production management. I like creating shows and actually having a say in how it's done and why it's done and being part of that process.
Yeah, you shouldn't get onto a West End show, especially a long-running West End show, if you've got anything to prove.
No.
None of us got anything to prove anymore. You just you get on the show to do the show. A lot of times you get on a long-running show because you get that stability.
Yeah.
More than anything else. And
I totally understand that. I totally get that. I just went a slightly different way and didn't get stability. I went to a school job instead, but it's kind of the same sort of reason.
Yeah, but I mean nowadays you can get onto a tour, because the other thing is that there are different levels of touring, because you've got the massive tours, your big shows that go into 4 venues a year and that's it. But then you've got your weekly tours, and then you've even got your nightly tours. And I mean, I only ever did weekly touring, so it's it really shows you how things work and how to repair things, and you've really got to work hard at touring sometimes. It's not just sitting down for 3 months in a venue and that's it.
Exactly, it really does. it really does teach you a lot. And actually, you're going into with a new crew every week in a new venue, new problems, and it teaches you to think on your feet.
Yeah.
And actually, for a couple of months on tour, you feel like you can walk in any venue and go, "Morning, everyone. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it this way.
Absolutely.
This is what's doing it."
Yeah.
And I think that's a great introduction to production management. Even just being like a touring tech ASM, you just go, "I know the show. You know the venue. Tell me the venue stuff. I'll tell you the show stuff. Let's get on with it."
Absolutely. Brilliant.
So I did actually, sorry, I had another point there. I think the other point is maybe it's showing my age a bit, but I think people coming into the industry always think there's a high-tech solution to a problem.
Yes, and normally the simplest thing is the solution.
I mean, I've worked with, and I really, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that you can dial in automation around the world. You can do stuff on your iPad. You can walk around and change sound mixes from the middle of the stalls. I think all that's brilliant. It totally has a place. But I've done so many gigs where you like plug up a band, for example, a thing doesn't work, and everyone's straight on their laptops and their iPads, and just go, well, is it actually in the DI properly? Has it plugged in? Is there power to the amp?
Yeah.
Let's do that basic stuff first. Let's not just, it's probably a network problem. Actually, it probably isn't. It's
called signal chain.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's just it's kind of an age thing, but I think people are very keen to go, I'll get my laptop out, when actually you could just go and look at it to start with, and that'll 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the problem.
Yes, and that's the kind of thing that you learn when you're touring, especially on smaller tours, because you don't have the luxury of your laptops and all this kind of thing. Generally, you have to think more literally about it, or laterally.
Exactly.
I don't know which one it is.
Kind of strips it back down to more of its bare bones, doesn't it? Because you don't have a huge infrastructure, because you can't put it in and out every week. There's no point. So
absolutely, yeah. Lovely. And finally, what advice would you give to anybody trying to get into the industry?
If you want to be a lighting designer, you should go and get a job on a follow spot. If you want to be a production manager, go and be an ASM. Don't be in a rush, because the best people who I've met who are in HOD positions started off not in HOD positions. I know there are loads of training courses out there that do production management, technical management, lighting design, lighting programming. All that's great. Definitely got a place in the industry, and it's great that people want to be in those roles. But if you want to be in charge of people and running things, you need to know what it's like. If I'm production managing, I'd say to someone, can we go to the grid and start pulling out motors? I've been to the grid and pulled out motors, and I know what it's like to do it, and you need to know what that's like. And you need to have an understanding of other departments. So I think start at the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best pieces of advice I would give to anyone is you need to be available and ready when you're needed and out of the way when you're not, especially if you're working on a big fit-up or something.
Yeah.
And generally, if you're kind of, Cassie number 5 on a 6-person crew, the touring chippies are probably not going to be that interested, in your opinion, of how their set goes together. Just do what you're told, follow the orders, and actually sometimes learning the bad way to do stuff is just as valuable as the good way. And if you think someone's doing it some horrendous way, that's fine. Watch it, learn, log it, and when you're in charge, do it differently. But don't venture an opinion about it, because no one's going to be interested.
Yeah. Oh, good. And that's everything I've got for you. So thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. My pleasure.
Thank you. Hey, big thank you to Chris there. Really enjoyed talking to Chris. Opera to pantomime is quite the leap, sort of one extreme to the other. But then that's maybe opera is a little like pantomime in some ways. So, really interesting talking to Chris. Thank you so much for the downloads. Thank you for the listens. Thank you for the continued feedback that we're getting. It's been really, really good. If you want to get in touch via the socials, it's Tech Table Pod on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube. A lot more things going on to the socials now that we have people who are social media savvy, unlike myself. So really, really good. Give us a follow. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone who's interested in theatre and anyone who's not interested in theatre, because it might make them interested in theatre. If you want to get in touch via the website, it is techtablepod@gmail.com. Give us a shout, give us an email, send us some questions, send us some feedback. Just get in touch, say hi. A big thank you to my executive producers, Mig and G from the Guildford School of Acting, and Jade from Sadler's Wells East. Especially Jade and Mig have really been getting on the social media side of things, which is really, really great. So thank you to them, and thank you to everyone involved in the podcast. Thank you to Stage Electrics for this wonderful microphone, which is making me sound brilliant. So that's the end of the penultimate episode. So thank you so much for listening, and until then, I shall see you all next week.